To take our drawing a little further, to actually build a chair from this box, the first thing to do is now to add more boxes. So I want to have some arms on here. And usually on a chair, you can think about, you could actually be looking at a piece of reference, a reference picture. But if you want to stay with working from your imagination, all you have to do now is find a line between here and here that would fit, that would work for both. So here I've got an angle, and just as these angles are getting less and less angled toward the eye level, this is closer to the eye level than this line, but not as close as that. So I've got to find a happy medium, something in between. I can decide if I want a T-cushion, a cushion that forms itself around the arm. So I'm going to have one of those. So now the question to answer is, what should this line look like? It's between this angle and this angle. What should that look like? And you'll know when you see it, you'll get a feel for it. And you just remember, our ultimate goal is to be able to figure this out. Now, this is another thing that's happening here. We have a lot of lines going on, an awful lot of lines already, and there are going to be more. So this exercise, again, is going to help you to be able to close your mind and your eye from looking at all of those lines that aren't important at the moment. This is what's important at the moment. This is what's important at the moment. And the other lines are meant to be there, but just to behave themselves and not get involved in what you're doing. Just ignore them for now. You have to deal with this. Okay, now I need a line that's going to bring my arm across. Arms are the same height, so they need to behave, get along with each other. See, I needed a line between here and between here, so I had to kind of, and I'm watching to see that this space appears larger than this space, and it doesn't. So I've not done that quite right here. I've got to bring this down a little bit. And this height of this arm should appear less than this height, and it does. So that I did okay. And this now, I have to join these up. So I'm looking for this kind of line rather than this kind of line. So it's easing up. It's not as angled as this, so that's what's happening. But what's funny is that this arm looks longer than the one that's closest to us, and this is called foreshortening. As something turns toward you, you're losing less of the look of depth. It's foreshortening. It's looking shorter. So that's important as well. Now this arm is this wide, but in the distance I know it's not going to appear quite so wide. So I can already just kind of, it goes against the grain. You think an arm should have so much width, but you have to obey what you know to be true. So this exercise is a combination of two things. Things that you know and things that you can observe in the world around you, and the things that you need to do in order for it to look correct. So there's a lot going on. So now I've got two arms, I've got my seat, and have my back, and now I'm going to break it up and have a nice big cushion. See, this is wrong. This should look wider, that should look narrower. So I was going the wrong way, and I've got to fit it between these two lines. I've got to get a sense of what that should look like. And now I'm going to go down here. Now, in the beginning, it might be a good idea for you to do some of these from imagination before you start working with your references, because the references will maybe have a slightly different perspective and it might throw you off. But just, even as I say, piling boxes on top of boxes is exciting enough in the beginning, I think. So you could just stop there, but why not? Why not give this a try? Now, legs, look around at legs and you'll see they quite often don't end up right at the very corner of a piece of furniture. They're set back a little bit. So we can make an X from corner to corner. Now you've got to ignore all that other stuff and just look at the base here, the base square. Now there's the middle of how it's sitting on the floor, but I want my leg to be in a little bit. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm trying to anticipate where the line, and every time I cross that X, I want to go the other way so that I'm getting a smaller square, same proportion, but inside that bigger square. And every time it crosses here, that X, I don't know how we can see that X, I don't want to go too dark, then you can see where it crosses. Now I can start to put my leg in. I'm going to just put a simple square leg, and from this point of view this has to go this way, so I can see that much of a leg. Now I'm sketching, so I have to anticipate how much bigger this one should appear than the one that's further away. So I'm already thinking, okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit wider. Does make it look a little shorter, which is strange, but that's how it would go. And here, this one is set back quite a bit, so I think that looks odd. So I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna make it not go back quite so far. And I can't see, now I could do a perspective line back here, but this is a sketch, so we'll just eyeball it. I can't see the hidden leg. Okay, so now, what about a cushion? We should have, now this, you see, you can see how much space should that cushion take up here on my chair. It can't go any further across than this, and it can't go any further across than this. So I can, let's make it, it's such a square chair, I think I'm going to try to make it quite a rounded cushion. So there, you see, it's got to come forward. It can't go as far back as that, so it's got to come forward. There, it's coming forward, and it's sitting, it's going to sit like that, and it's going to cross over. And so these are organic shapes. So there's a tendency to want to go really sketchy here, but you've got to watch and not get too there. So there's plenty of room now there, and there's our other arm. And it's very square, so you will want to round it out. So this is, there's our curvilinear lines. We got those going, and I'm firming up my lines a little bit as well as I go along. I'm going to round this out as well. Make that, round this out, and this, like that. See, it's below eye level, so you see the top of the chair. And this is all of a piece, so I'm going to round out here. Keep your eye on the other arm. I almost made a mistake there, but see why we kept this so light. This is cushion over back, over arm. So I'm going to taper that a little bit. It's too wide, because this is that wide. This can't be that wide. I'm keeping my insides light. I don't want them to, see, the chair has to read as a silhouette. So you might have to do a drawing that has to read across a boardroom. So you've got to make the silhouette of the chair read. The inside details, they're not so important at that moment. What's important is, okay, there's a chair, and it's a nice big fat one, and it's sitting over there in that space. So that's the information that people should get at the beginning. Now this, you can put a little bit and then show. And this can be, it's upholstered, so you can make that a little bit rounded as well. I have to be careful not to chop. There's a tendency to want to speed up and chop, but you don't. You take your time. And here, I can round that up. And now that leg being so far back, if I round that up, it doesn't seem quite so odd. Now I've only used my ballpoint pen, and that we can use instead of our, or you know, you can find something light in your kit. So I've only got light lines now,